If you are interested in the espionage world, sooner or later you'll come across a cryptonym. But do you know why those exist, how they are being produced, and what is their value for intelligence services? If not, stay tuned to find out. Welcome to Tradecraft Sunday. In a recent episode, we talked about CIA's secret Cold War Miami station that had the cryptonym Wave. But inside CIA, at that time they were also adding a prefix. In this case, JM, written like this or like this. The diagraph JM, as well as the diagraph AM, was used inside CIA to describe anything related to Cuba. Like JM Wave, the CIA's Miami station, or JM Tracks, a CIA covert air base training camp in Guatemala, or even people like JM Blag that was describing the US ambassador to Guatemala, and where the cryptonym was related to groups of people like the Cuban paramilitaries that had the cryptonym LILAC or AM LILAC, using also the diagraph for Cuba. Each agent was described as AM LILAC 1, 2, 3, and so on. Although that practice worked for a little bit in CIA, it became very clear that it's very insecure. And that leads us to the question, what's the value of cryptonyms? Cryptonym comes from the Greek words crypto, meaning hidden, and tonoma, meaning name. So hidden name, and that's the whole purpose of it. To create a layer of secrecy that hides anything beneath it, whether this is a person, a facility, an operation, a technique, or anything else. So the purpose of the cryptonym is to hide both the who, the what, and the how. This means that the initial approach that CIA had was really insecure, since the diagraphs were indicating the region, and as long as you could uncover one agent and their cryptonym, you could sequentially look for more. This means that a good cryptonym has to be random and by no means being associated with anything that could uncover what it's hiding. Cryptonyms also have a counterintelligence value, meaning if an insider overhears some cryptonym and sells it to a foreign intelligence service, they would still don't know all of the details or be able to identify that cryptonym was for a person or a technique or anything else. And similarly, when an agency identifies that one of their cryptonyms is leaked, they can trivially rotate it, which means even if someone else searches for it, there won't be nothing related to it. But given those constraints, how do spy agencies produce those? In the 2018 book, The Spy and the Traitor, the greatest espionage story from the Cold War, we read how Britain's MI6 was doing that in 1977. In MI6, as in most secret services, code names were in theory allocated randomly from an officially approved list. Usually they were real words and deliberately anodyne in order to give no hint of what they refer to. But spies frequently cannot resist the temptation to choose words that resonate or offer some subtle, or less than subtle, clue to reality. The keeper of MI6's code words was a secretary called Ursula, her real name. You rank Ursula and asked her for the next name on the list. But if you didn't like it, you could go back and try to get her to give you a better one. Or you could get a whole set of code words for different aspects of the case and then choose the one you liked best. The wartime MI5 code name for Stalin, meaning man of steel, was Glyptic, meaning an image carved in stone. The Germans codenamed Britain Golfplatz or golf course. Code words could even be used as a veiled insult. There was some snorting in Century House when CIA cable accidentally revealed that the American code name for MI6 was Uptight. And in case you wonder, indeed, in the UK the cryptonyms are called code words, and spy agencies take those very seriously. For instance, if we're talking about a very sensitive source, an agent, no one apart from a handful of people might ever know the true identity of that person. For example, the Russian intelligence services, in such cases, they do not even allow the handlers to ever meet those agents in person to protect their identities. They might just tell the handler, "You have to leave this dead drop in that site for Agent Baker 7. The handler will leave the dead drop, and that's it. They would never meet in person. Or in a more modern adaptation of that, all of that could happen through a website online. And that's to protect the identity of that agent, so that even if that handler gets captured or becomes a double agent, they could still don't know the real identity of that person." Some say that different agencies also utilize those cryptonyms in different ways. For instance, with CIA caring more about the indexing and global coordination, while Russian or Chinese intel services using them more for deniability and compartmentalization, like the example we just mentioned. But that said, you might be curious, how does this happen today? And thanks to Edward Snowden's permanent record book, we learn how NSA was doing that in the 2010s. The NSA has a whole protocol you are supposed to follow when you give a program a code name. It's basically an I Ching-like stochastic procedure that randomly picks words from two columns. An internal website throws an imaginary dice to pick one from column A, and throws again to pick one name from column B. This is how you end up with names that don't mean anything, like Fox Acid or egotistical giraffe. The point of a code name is that it's not supposed to refer to what the program does. As has been reported, Fox Acid was the code name for NSA servers that host malware versions of familiar websites. Egotistical giraffe was an NSA program intended to exploit a vulnerability in certain web browsers running Tor, since they couldn't break Tor itself. But agents at the NSA were so confident of their power and the agency's absolute invulnerability that they rarely complied with the regulations. In short, they'd cheat and redo the dice throws until they got the name combinations they wanted, whatever they thought was cool. Traffic Thief, the VPN attack orchestrator. I swear I never did that when I went about finding a name for my backup system. I swear I just rolled the bones and came up with Epic Shelter. Later, once the agency adopted the system, they renamed it to something like Storage Modernization Plan or Storage Modernization Program. Within 2 years of the invention of Epic Shelter, a variant had been implemented and was in standard use under yet another name. And hopefully that gave you enough details to better understand what are the cryptonyms, how they are being produced, used, and what's the value they provide to spy agencies. And it's another part of the secret, hidden world where nothing is as it seems.